Everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Monday. That means it's Mishmash Monday. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and I want to get to it. So first, let me start off by saying a little bit of a history lesson from me. About a little over 20 years ago, I was into collecting tools as I am now, but I found out about that Long Island Antique Tool Collectors Association. I went down there, went to a couple meetings, really enjoyed it, and I ran into a gentleman there that just changed my collecting habits. Now, his name was Dan Semmel, and he was giving a couple of presentations that I attended, and I was just blown away by his knowledge of tools and what he collected and whatnot. And here's the best part. He, which really affected me, he collected things that other people weren't so crazy about. Like, at the time, planes were big, and, Stanley braces and other things, when it's like guys tend to jump on a bandwagon, which means that, if one guy's collecting something, everybody starts collecting them. Like, like the Wilton bullet vise. That's the big thing now. Everybody wants a bullet vise. It's not the best vise ever, but, it's what's hot. So, Dan wasn't like that. Dan would collect things that other people didn't even know about. And every time Dan was there, I would check out what he's looking at, and he had such enthusiasm for for tools and for. He had a real passion for it. So all he had to do was talk to you for 5 minutes about a certain item. Next thing you were like, I got to get these. I got to start collecting them. That's where I got most of my passion for this was from him. So a couple months ago, we were at a meeting, and he said to me, he says, "Hey, I saw your videos and I enjoy them." And I couldn't believe it. There it is, my mentor, telling me he saw some of my videos and he was enjoying them. So needless to say, I was kind of ecstatic about that. And so this last meeting, Dan said, "Hey, come here for a minute." And he, obviously anything he has to say, I'm all ears. And he brought in some stuff. And he says, here, here, you can use some of this stuff for the show. And he donated some stuff to the channel, and he brought some stuff in to show. I was like, this is so great. And I can't even tell you how excited I am. But let's get started on some of these projects that Dan brought in. And we'll take a look at. There are many different types of calipers. Some are just simple calipers like this for measuring points or inside or around something. These are spring calipers, and they're very common, and these are pretty much all over. Later on they came out with the veneer style caliper, and very accurate. They had markings along the body of the caliper that would help you determine the size, and again, very accurate. This one here is a dial. They added a dial. Not only do you have the markings here, but you also have a dial, so they call this a dial caliper. This is a digital caliper, and this gives you a digital readout. And what's good about this is this will also, if you have any batteries that need draining, you put them in here, and it will do an excellent job in killing any batteries that you have before the next time you need to use that. So Dan knows I like working on rusty tools and stuff, so he brought this in saying, see what I could do with this one. And what this is I believe it's German, by looking at the markings on it, but this is and you can see here, you can see some of the markings on here, but this is a veneer caliper. And the problem is a lot of these are made of a high carbon steel, and if they're left anywhere where there's moisture, you can see what happens. Now, the problem we have when dealing with any kind of rust on an instrument like this is that you're always going to get some scarring. The only way to get below this scarring is to go below it. And if you go below it, you're going to take off the markings. So this is a real dilemma when working with instruments like this. Whenever you get an instrument that looks similar to this, it's going to be very difficult to maintain the markings and still have it presentable. So we're going to see what we can do with it and try and clean it up and get this back in service. And we are calling this project done. I found out a couple things about this beautiful caliper. Isn't that nice? Came out real nice. We got all the rust off. Couldn't get rid of all the pitting, of course, because like I said, there's no grinding involved in this. Let me tell you a little bit about this. First of all, the overall length is about 24 inches or just under 61 centimeters. And it's a German-made caliper. Let me show you the markings. Okay, on the bottom of the caliper, it's marked Massey. You can see here. Followed by what looks like Werkzeuge Madler, Or Madler. It's a, I know we have some experts in German tooling out there could tell me a little bit more about this, but we were able to get the letters where they're, you know, easily viewed. Got all the dirt, the rust, and everything out of there. So you can see this is inches on top, centimeters on bottom. Now, if you look closely, you could see here that the inch scale is in 1/16 graduations, whereas the centimeter, of course, is in 10 1 mm graduations. Okay, now the tip of the caliper has two surfaces. It has a inner and outer. If you open it up here, you can see the inside is for measuring direct length, and the outside you can see is slightly curved. You can see the profile of that, and that's to measure if you have something round. You could go in on the edges here like this and get a reading that way, then tighten it up, and that'll be the reading for the outside. From the outside of here to the outside of here is the inner diameter of a pipe or a round or something like that. To use the caliper for measuring length or whatever, you'll see over here you have a scale. This is, you use the first line here, and we're going to line it up with the 1-inch line and move that over. And when we get that lined up with the 1-inch line, we're going to test that for accuracy. Now you have to get really centered like that so that we're directly on that 1-inch line. Then we'll tighten up the screw, and we'll test it with the my other calipers. Okay, to check the accuracy, I have that set at 1 inch over here. I'm going to take my dial calipers and check the inside here. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to try and get it inside. And you could see here, according to this, we are spot on 1 inch. You could see. Let me see what it looks like at 4 inches. Okay, I set it up here. You could see at 4 inches. Have it over there. I'm going to check to see the accuracy now with this caliper, and we'll pull the same way. I won't look at it. Pull it apart. We'll do it here on this part of the jaw. Get it just about so it's equal. Pull this straight up, and I'm showing 2/10 under, which for 4 inches on a on a caliper that long is pretty good. So as you can see, it can be very accurate as long as you get your glasses and get those lines marked and lined up accurately. Okay, if you look on one other marking on the top here, if you look real close, I believe that says Gerhartet means hardened in German, but another marking on this nice caliper. So overall, I'm really pleased with the way this came out, considering especially what it looked like before, and it is accurate. It does work, so it is a very usable vernier caliper. Let's move on to our next item. Okay, next up, Dan actually purchased this wrench from my buddy Kent just for the show, and I know this looks a little rough, and it is a little rough, but it's a very unusual and rare wrench. You don't usually see these before. What this is, if you look closely, you can see here it's Hammond with a H, but the drill Hammond Manufacturing Company. It was out of Boston, Massachusetts, and the patent date on this is patented April 8th, 1900. And what's interesting about this wrench, it's a normal pipe wrench, but this is first generation of a spring adjustable, quick adjustable wrench. And you can see here, had some pretty interesting designs for a wrench that early, like replaceable bottom jaw here. A lot of these jaws would get messed up over time, so you could pop that pin out, and you could see it just slip a new jaw in there. There was another rivet here. This is replaced this bolt. That was a rivet. I did see another one of these online, and it was in pretty nice shape compared to this, but the cost of that wrench was $155. So before I do any restoration, I got to see how rare this thing is. I don't want to start messing up parts of history, but I thought that was really cool. Thanks very much for that. Lastly, for today, Dan lent us a beautiful piece of folk art. Now, in the world of tool collecting, there's regular tools, there's unique tools, there's rare tools, and then there's folk art. Folk art tends to bring the most money at these auctions because they're one-of-a-kind pieces, usually done by an artist, and they're all different, and that's why they bring so much money. Let me show you this really cool hammer. Now this is the hammer that Dan lent us for the show, and I have to tell you, it is one of the most beautiful hammers I've ever seen before. This, you could see, was a blacksmith-made hammer. Look at anybody that does blacksmithing knows, the marks and everything that go into a hammer, and you could tell that these were done by somebody not only that knew what they were doing, but had a real artistic flair, because look at the head of this hammer. The head is made to resemble that of some kind of animal, whether it be a mule, can't be a horse because the ears are too long, maybe a dog, or you could see here with the jowls and the nose and the eye. You see the eye over here, and it's the same on the other side. How cool is that? Is that not cool? The neck forms in, and the balance of this hammer is phenomenal. I mean, whoever made this obviously knew what he was doing, or she, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful hammer. The head, it's tempered really nicely. I just love this hammer. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this before? Let's try it out. Okay, that was incredible fun, and look at this. This thing works. I knew it would. I could tell by the balance and the way the head is shaped. It drives like unbelievable. Works so good. What a great hammer. I wish I knew who made this. I wish I knew the history behind it, but this is the kind of stuff I love, and I mean, look at that. Let's figure out what kind of animal that is, okay? All right, let's see what else. So in closing, just want to say special thanks to Dan, and thanks very much for tuning in. Take care. I hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye.